Hey, everybody. So let me adjust music a little bit here. And let me also take a look at the stream and then we can get started. Let's see what's happening here. This one needs to be muted. All right. So this is just, oh yeah, let me share this also. In my Discord, if people want to join in, live stream now. There we go. All right. So I did this sketch not so long ago on my Instagram, and I thought that I want to go a little bit more into it because there are some elements that I want to work a bit more on. More on, he says. Anyways, I wanted to separate the cockpit area a little bit from the rest of the spaceship. So how did I have? I have 1, 2, 3. So somewhere here in the middle, it splits, and then we have this upper window here, and then again something down here. So it's like this. Yes. Okay. And then so I was thinking if this would do like proper landing, which yeah, it doesn't make sense in a hard sci-fi environment, but let's say we're doing sort of Star Wars, then we could have sort of a mechanism where the wings sort of fold here, and then we still have this area here, and this would reach forward. Hey Toto, welcome to the stream. Yeah, the quality is not going to be too high because for some reason from my phone I can't really do higher than 720p for now. But, well, at least it's better than nothing, right? So I'm just going to, technically I don't want it as clean as here. I'm just trying to mostly explore and see how this could look. So as I said, I wanted to just remove this cockpit a little bit because everything is too much like a pill, and I find that a little bit less exciting than if we have like two separate elements here. And I still like that the entry hatch is rounded here. I find that that could stay technically. And so we have nothing on this side, meanwhile on the other side, so it would come somewhere from here, and if I look at this, it goes up until there, and then here we have this little area. Obviously it doesn't need to be super detailed. Fernando Guerra, thank you very much, my friend. I'm trying my best. Okay, let me take this again. Oh, sorry about that. Hey Dennis. So yeah, as I said, this doesn't need to be as detailed as this one here. It's mostly just to see a little bit better, and also like I know throughout use and years, just the pencil would sort of get a bit lost. That's why I want to come back in a little bit with fine liner as well. And I made some mistakes there, but it's fine. So I also want to turn it around a little bit more. Look at the other side, look a little bit at it from the front as well. And then the hatch would be somewhere here. Give it some thickness. Actually, I don't know if I need to put the hatch since we have the hatch on the other side. Do you have any advice for a new industrial design student? What sort of advice are you looking for? A piece of advice is be more specific when asking for advice. It's much easier for people to give you advice if they know what exactly you need or what you want answered, right? So if you have any specific questions, make it a bit more specific, and then I can try and help you. Okay, so this, if this comes something like this would be the, maybe the railing or something that, oh, running out of ink a little bit. So this would come like this. And this is the upper thing. Maybe I'll just switch to the O2 instead of this one. Zuzulmajeri, ez már nagyon szép. Köszi, köszi. Alright, so this is here. And then let me rotate it a little bit. This is also something like this. Okay, we have a bit of bulging in the paper there, which makes it a bit slightly uncomfortable to rotate there, but it's okay. So what I'm also going to need on this side is some sort of landing gear. So I don't really care about precise landing gear now. I'll just plop something down there. And yeah, this still, so this reaches forward somewhere. And I have those two aiming thingamajigs. Palada, love your videos. They really helped me learn how to draw digitally. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much, Palada. Very kind of you to say that. Okay, music is gone. Do we need some music for here? There we go. A little bit of music back. Danny, oh, hey, Speedscape. And Dennis Demirhan. To improve myself on first grade, I mainly take lessons about technical drawing and intro to industrial design, but it takes so slow to get improvement. Well, that's that. Improvement takes time. It's not gonna speed up. Improvement is never really fast. Oh, I could take my other brush, my brush pen actually for this one. Let me fish it out. There we go. So I'm gonna take my Dumbo for this. So yeah, don't expect necessarily to make huge leaps once you start learning. It takes a while until a click happens, but it's also just, you have to put in a lot of time before you actually see your efforts paying off. Honestly, most of the time I don't see the improvement in my drawings either. I trust that I do have a little bit of improvement. But yeah, in general, I'm just trying to stick with it. It's a lot about perseverance. It's a lot about just trusting that you are doing the right thing. Obviously, you have to do the right exercises, and if you're at uni or wherever and you're learning, and there's a teacher who will make, or a professor who makes sure that you learn the right things. But don't expect that you will just start growing like crazy and get better out of nowhere. Sadly, that's not how things work. I mean, I did see improvement in my art when I was doing nothing else but drawing 10 hours a day. During one of the winters when I felt particularly antisocial, and the whole winter long I did nothing else but stay inside and draw. And yeah, I did see some improvements there, but also I'm not sure you want to do that, to be honest. I did lose quite a lot of contact with my friends due to that, because I did nothing else but really just sit inside and draw. Okay, so let me also try like a direct front view. So we would have this here, then we would have this window, and then the same on this side. And then we would have sort of a bottom window. There we go. And then we would have the railgun here, which runs a little bit tapered towards the front. Will be something like this. Then on this side we have our tilted wing with this air intake looking thing on it. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's there. Okay, detail this up a little bit. And as I said, on the side, technically our wing would be here and down there, but there's a little bit to the side there. Okay, so that these two can flip down. We would have something like that. And then we would have maybe legs. I take the insect legs here, but not sure if I can stay with those. Not the biggest fan of these. Let's see, it's a bit too insecty. Hadel, George, what is the point of doing side views? Is it just to study and understand what forms to use when turning it into 3D? It depends. If you don't draw, or if you don't have a 3D model, don't have time to do it or don't know how to do it, and you need to sell this idea either to a client or to the art director or just whoever, it's going to be much more easy for people to understand. And also, like, I can't show, like, I have this 3D, but if I'm not going to build this in 3D model, how am I going to explain to somebody what's happening on this side? So it's usually that's why it's good to draw these sort of side views so people understand. It's all about communication. So I don't consider myself an artist. I consider myself a visual communicator, an industrial designer. That's what our industrial designers do with their visuals, right? It's not about doing something beautiful. It's more about helping us communicate a product or a design through a visual. So it's all about the more angles, the more sides you can show of your idea, your product, your design, the better. Because you want to sell this idea. Not sell for money, but you want your client or your art director to like it and to understand it as well as they can. Hence, the several views are important. Actually, that's what Monday's video is going to be about as well, a little bit, because I want to talk about technical drawing and engineering drawing, and that's a whole lot of different side views, front views, top views. Obviously, here this would not be needed. I wouldn't need to ink it. I do it mostly for fun. And I just want to have a combination of pencils and inks here a little bit, just because I think it looks cool. Okay, so let's work a little bit on the swing as well. So I'm just trying to draw the swing from the front now. Here also, because this from this part you can't really see what the connection here would be. So I'm just gonna add some detail for that connection as well. There we go. Obviously, once again, this is sort of like Star Wars spaceship, which means that it doesn't really make sense. But I don't know if I like this should come a little bit lower. Then we have these two things here. That's fine. But I want to do something else with the legs, because usually I like these insect legs, but I feel like that just doesn't go with this. So if this would be sort of, if this can turn into a leg, and then I would have two on this side, I think that would be cool. Okay, let me draw like the baseline for this. Would be somewhere there. Style over substance. In this case, absolutely. In this case, yeah. I mean, it depends, right? Because you can go for different types of sci-fi worlds as well. Like you can go for something like Star Wars, or I don't know, stuff like that, where it's mostly just for fun and it looks cool. Or you can go for something like the Expanse universe, where it's like, I find it to be really cool hard sci-fi, where the most sci-fi thing in it is the Epstein drive. But everything else is like really cool. You don't have the ships doing dogfights, going close up to each other. Everything happens with just shoot off rockets and calculate the trajectories, and having point defense cannons that can shoot down most of the rocketry. So it's pretty cool. I like that sort of sci-fi quite a bit. Okay, so now let's try just give it a little bit more definition here. So this is 1 and 2. Oh, and I need to push it a little bit to get those. Or you know what? Let me cheat. Feel a bit lazy today, so I'm just gonna use a ruler. After all, I keep on telling people that tools are there to be used, and don't feel weird about using them. And usually I like to do things free-handed, but it's a sketchbook, and it's, as you can see, it's bent. So I find it really hard to do these nice straight lines with these bends, and also like I sort of have limited area to draw. I think that's nice. Sometimes you can cheat a little bit, and I'm just gonna draw here a little bit, like there was something there, but then we moved it down there. In which school did you study product design? I studied at the TU Delft, which is in the Netherlands, and TU obviously stands for Technical University. And before that, I studied mechanical engineering in Romania. There we go. So this I don't feel I need to detail too much, but I can add a little bit of detail to it. But it's one thing what you learn about industrial design when you're not in it. So if you look at stuff like Feng Zhu, like he did industrial design, or Scott Robertson, or if you want to go even more back, one of my personal heroes, Sid Mead. So what they did for the entertainment industry is quite different to what you learn for industrial design as actual product design, because they mostly approach it through visualization and creating these fantastic worlds. But for industrial design, you do have to learn quite a bit of engineering, and a whole lot of, I don't know, marketing, running a product, doing all these things that you would think that have nothing to do with design, product design, or anything like that. So it can be quite interesting. So this will be the bottom line then, and then here we would have this interesting little leg opening up. And since I'm doing that, I could also bring it back here, since I already suggested it with the pencil. So this would be that opening leg part, and then the rest is here. And then here we have the other part of the opening leg. Do you find doing engineering helps your industrial design? Definitely, for sure. It's not necessary, but it does help me a lot. Sorry about that. Sometimes I hit the camera. So it goes also two ways, because sometimes I spend too much time trying to figure out to make things functional when it's not necessary. Sometimes you can just skip the whole making things functional part, but the more you think about how to make something functional, the better, because the viewers will sort of feel that as well, I must say. Like, you know, when you look at also at something that's anatomy and you don't know what's wrong with it, but you just feel that something is off. You can't put your finger on it. Same thing happens with mechanical units as well. Like you can see a robot or a vehicle and just feel that I don't know if something like this would actually exist in real life. And that's where, if you have some engineering knowledge, there's a lot of things that you can do to balance that out and to actually give something a more functional feeling. Okay, like let me quickly black these in. And just as I was saying before, when I do these uh, either cross-hatching or just darkening in things where I just use these lines, my brain loves to turn off my capability to talk because it's I don't know, it's quite enjoyable. You know, one of those things that you can go on Reddit and what's it called? Strangely satisfying or whatever the subreddit is called. You just look something and you're like, ah, that's satisfying. So that's how my brain feels when I'm doing these sort of black lines, and I have to fight it quite hard to be able to talk. Okay, let's say that's a little bit of shine in there. And I can also give a little bit of thicker line for the underlining where the shadow might be as well. And also the inside can be drawn a little bit thicker. This area, which looks like an intake, and actually I have no idea how this would be useful. I feel like I could have made the wings a little bit longer. Let me see if I can jump on that. Eber Jacob, hey Jacob. You could also say we are just fab. Let's. I'm not sure I want to talk about fabs, weird or not. Oh boy. Okay, let's open this up here. And there as well. Fabs in general are weird, right? So that's something that's not weird. All right. So those are a little bit elongated now. And I can also sort of add an extra line here showing the railing. And what I like to do when I have this, I can also come back here now a little bit and just continue with a sketch here because, okay, so now I know that sort of this runs along this railing. I can add some detail that sort of suggests a railing there. And I also now, well, actually, let me put in the other leg as well. And I'm gonna take my thinner fine liner here. Like usually when you have something in shadow in the background, this should be quite suggestive of that. And I'm gonna give it a very thin outline. So it's basically this shape again, but then further back. Mike Garcia, what do you think is the best way for a concept artist to learn and better understand actual engineering principles? You could do, well, first of all, do a lot of studies of engineering devices like engines, but also stuff like how you mount things, how different metallic and mechanical things are put together. So that should already help you. Just stuff like watching documentaries on inventions. Like I remember when I was a kid, there were a ton of great documentaries talking about what was it? The industrial revolution. So how steam engines, how the early steam engines functioned, and then all the way up to modern times. So stuff like that, just that generally educates you a little bit, is already a good help. looks like this, and then I have another one there. Could be a bit thinner actually. Have you considered practicing character and creature design on your only interested in objects? No, I do. I do. Well, here, just to show you, this was a very bad. What was it? November the 1st is self-portrait day, and I wanted to do something more cartoony. And since it's November, I decided to do November as well. So I have a mustache right now. So I do stuff like this. This is mostly industrial design, sketchbook. Well, not industrial design, but mostly sketches like this. But I do anatomy studies quite often, but that I usually do digitally. And before Corona, I was going to figure study as well. So basically, just a bunch of people getting together and paying a model for 2 to 3 hours and just trying to draw that. Definitely, it's a weakness of mine, and I find it much easier to draw mechanical stuff, mechanical things than character design. But I definitely like that as well. It's just, if you think about concept art, if you want to do stuff for the entertainment industry, uh, it's good to be a generalist up until one point, but the people, the company whoever you want to work for can always hire somebody who's specialized. So like I would never get a job where I would have to do character art, because there's always a position that's specifically for character art. Okay, let's see what's worthwhile exploring more in this one. I feel like maybe this, well, something like this, but then more from above. So I'm just gonna try and, oh, not quite from above, still a 3/4 view, but I just wanna have a view a little bit more from above as well. How do you consider? Or architecture principles. Architecture is definitely very useful, especially if you're doing concept art. I see a lot of architecture in video games that makes no sense. Especially if you really pay attention, and if you look at the levels where you go through, maybe a shooter or something, and there's just walls and doors at places that makes absolutely no sense. This would be the upper wing. No, if it's landed, it's still. Let me do it landed. I think it's more interesting if I do another landed version. And then this would be the lower wing. And then this would be the front one. And slightly to the side, we agreed. And then these are the other two. The wing doesn't go all the way back, and obviously this is rounded. But this, so see, I did it a bit not so nicely here. These wings have to be quite a bit wider if I look at here. So this wing should reach out here, which means I can bring the railing more to the front as well. So this would, yeah, that's more like it. And then the underwing should be somewhere there. Okay, okay. And this is that little thing that goes there. Yeah, and then one leg would be here. Yeah, I think I'm cool with that. Silly little design, but it's, as I said when I was doing the original one, I like these sort of not necessarily functional but retro sort of designs. Just you can have a lot of fun with them. Thanks, Jacob, but the music is actually just, I was looking for streamer music that is also non-copyrighted. Okay. Actually, it could be a bit more like, let's clean this up this side. So it would come something like this, and that would come something like that. All right. That doesn't show. Now here, like this is good because I can explain the mounting of this a bit more, which I technically, I don't know if it needs a lot of explanation, but if I was doing a proper design that would need to be modeled. So like this is like also, I don't know, but somebody asked me why these many views. Like if I would need to give this to a 3D artist, it's important that they have also as much information as possible, because from here there's many sides that they wouldn't know what to do with, or they would have to come up with their own solution, which sometimes is totally fine. I mean, 3D artists are smart people and they can come up with stuff, especially if they already have enough experience working on projects like these. But it's much easier for people to know what to model when they actually have the necessary information. This seems quite big. Let me see if I can make it a bit smaller all around. The length is okay, but here I'm gonna cut a bit off of it there, just like that. I like that more. And this doesn't need to move, but we can still just add some detail elements here and there, what we expect this to be like that. All right. So I'm still trying, I want to make this cockpit area a bit more interesting. So I think if I leave it bubbly below and we have a more fixed connection on top. Yeah, that's working much nicer for me. Let me just clean this dirt off so I can add some more detail. So here we have this roundness, it goes there as well, and then here on top we have this straight connection. And then because we just to make the form a little bit more interesting, and then we can also add more detail here within the railing, and this can still, we have a hard cutoff line there for that part. And then we have this area. And of course, let's not forget about the whole railgun thing that's sticking out here in the front. Let me see, so it came something like this. And then I have these, I would call these aiming reticules. It's basically very similar to what you would have on a gun. That could come. I'll take the ruler once I want to work this out a bit more. Okay, and I think they were over there, so I still have a little bit wider and it comes like that. Okay, so now I can take my fine liner and just make this a bit clearer. Let me move the camera slightly. All right. Some nice straight industrial designery lines. There's also, I'm sort of doing a little bit different approach than here, because when I'm ideating more in the industrial design style, I'm ideating with the pen itself quite a bit as well, and I'm using the pen in a different way than when I just want to do illustratory stuff. And this was way more illustratory stuff. Just some random nonsensical detailing here. Like here you could think about how this would be attached, for example. But on such a small drawing like this, you can go towards the nonsensical thing. But for example, this is also where if you have a little bit of engineering knowledge, just like really minimal, you can think about how something like this would be attached. What's your favorite media to color with? Well, since I'm not really good when it comes to traditional coloring or coloring in general, to be honest, I like to stick with digital because it's just the easiest. If I make mistakes, it's very easy to fix. But if traditional, then a very light watercolor, I would say. Watercolor in general is quite hard to control, but if I keep it light, I'm fine with it. Stuff like, if I go back to the beginning of this book, like stuff like this is what I'm trying to experiment with, like especially this minimal watercolor just here or there, just to express a little bit. Do I have anything else? Or what I also do is ink wash, and that was my whole Inktober, was all ink wash. So, well, I don't know if you can count ink wash as coloring, but yeah. Drawing a building digitally and make it blend in and not pop out visually super hard, especially in hinges and windows and textures. It is. Well, the trick is not to use lines. That's your first trick, I would say. The less you use lines, the easier it becomes to blend it in, because we don't have lines in reality, in nature. Like, my hand doesn't have an outline, right? But you don't want to always, especially if you're in a hurry. Well, not necessarily in a hurry, but with pencil, it's much easier and faster to just do the outlines. And it's easy for our brains to read that as well. But yeah, if you want to make things realistic, get rid of the outlines. And there we go. So we have the front windows. And the round window as well. Yeah, again, relatively hard to draw when paying extra much attention. Okay, let me rotate this so it's a bit handier, and then rotate it back, and then same here, something like that. Yeah, something like that. Actually, I can switch to a thinner one. There we go. So just try. This is, yeah, another. Just going back to why it's nice to draw from several angles. You will understand better your own design. Like if you had some mistakes in there, you know, okay, this doesn't work from this angle, or I thought that looks cool from that angle, but in the end, no, either it doesn't or it's not functional. So those are definitely the benefits. of drawing it several times. And we go around there. Just some nonsense detailing there as well. I feel I might need a new 002 soon because this wants to die on me. So this would have one here, and I said this is just properly connected here, like that. The hard part here is to make this seem like it's a nice rounding as well. There we go. It can jump out there. Now something I didn't go like this one, didn't quite go into detail, because from somewhere from here we have this little thing that goes there. There we go. Something like that. And then this would come down. So now I also see, like looking back at this, I see, okay, I sketched it in quickly, but not everything works as I imagined. There we go. And then here we continue with that part. Okay, and then this would be the end. Let me actually take the slightly thicker O2 for the back side of my spaceship. There we go. Yeah. Now I can close this off. Okay, and here this one is quite detailed. So let me do it thinner. We have the connection there. So I was thinking this one just to make the, because I like spaceships that are a little bit, you know, Mad Maxy. So they're not 100% brand new off the production line. They're a little bit cobbled together. It's always fun to have those sort of designs. So they needed this extra pillar there to keep the construction relatively solid. Exactly, ones that you can fix with a hammer. Those are the best kinds. Okay, let's make this nice and round. Okay. And on this side as well. Like with, I always like hero ships, if you think about it. So if you look at stuff like Mass Effect, like you have the best ship, right? The crew, the Normandy SR1 and SR2, they are always the top technology ships that the Human Alliance has. But then if you look at something like the Mandalorian, where it's already an old ship as it was, it's still running quite nicely. But then in one of the last episodes, it literally totally fell apart, and it got repaired, but it got repaired in a way that it's like hold together by literally strings. It's quite funny. Okay, so now I can see, like, I pushed the wing quite a lot back, so it could be even more to the front. So that's something to keep in mind if I would do more stuff with this. Let me do the windows quickly. So this is really an extra step that is not necessary. It's just super fun for me. And it's visually nice because you have this high contrast between the white and the dark, and then you get a good pop out of it, good visual pop. go, and then also the front window. Also, the windows here grew compared to there. It's not easy keeping all these things in balance. So yeah, okay, so I need the line relatively running straight along with, and then the other one also somewhere there. Okay, let me just fix this a bit. There we go. But yes, and then an underline. And what's nice about these sort of sketches as well, that you don't have to finish every part of the sketch. Like this is quite enough information, so I don't need to continue here or there. I'm more interested about this whole part here. There we go. Here, I think if I look here, we have sort of a, not slot necessarily, but we just have this area where the thing parks in. So I'm just gonna draw that in. Like once again, this should come more to the front, but should be fine now for our purposes. So which means, but I do want to bring this a bit further in here. There we go, like that. And now on this side, I could add some more detail as well. You could have some cables running along, some gravel stuff. Like if I was on a computer, I would probably zoom in properly now, which is not always good because you don't want to put that much emphasis on these small details. Also, when you zoomed in, you just don't see the whole pictures, and then you just spend way too much time doing little nitty-gritty stuff that in the end doesn't really matter that much. So this should be quite about enough there. And make the under wing a little bit stronger, and also make this wing a little bit stronger. And then it stops there whenever it comes up there. And then some slight detailing here, as I said as well. You can have, well, not compartments obviously, but just something that looks like it. And then one more. So this whole gravel business, you can go in a lot of detail and have a lot of fun with it. But I'm mostly, as I said, exploring here. So which do you choose, digital or traditional? Both. So the good thing is that you're not forced to choose either, whichever you feel best, or whichever you feel fits your mood most, and depending what you need to do the drawing for. Like if I would be drawing for a client, the initial sketches I would be probably doing traditionally with pen, because then I know, well, first of all, when I'm drawing with pen, if I make a mistake, I just have to live with it. So I learned to draw relatively fast with pen on paper. And the drawback with digital is that you have the undo, which since it's there, I know for sure that I'm going to use it, and that's going to slow me down. So for the initial sketches, which need to go fast, and I need to churn out a lot of them until I get the idea down that the client wants exactly, I'm just going to push a lot of traditional sketches. And once we have something that I know, okay, we can go with this, then we can switch to digital, because then, yeah, you have to work it out. and yeah, you just don't get the same effects traditionally what you get with digital, unless you put in a lot of time and effort into it. Which some clients do, that's what they expect. They want a nice traditional visual. But especially if you want to work in the concept art and entertainment industry, you're doing production work, which means that you're doing work that needs to be done quick and fast and needs to turn around, and you have to jump on the next piece. So you will never really have time for that. Okay, so this goes there. And so now I'm trying to copy the detail from here. Another here that ends up in sort of a bigger thing. And then we have that thing there. Uh, Centurion, awesome stuff. Thank you very much. Do you ever feel homesick? No. No. So the thing for me was that as a kid, I was born in 85. So I grew up right after communism. I grew up a little bit in communism, but mostly after communism fell. And because I really, really loved cartoons, that's why I got into drawing, I guess, because I loved cartoons. Um, I was watching a lot of television, and in post-Soviet Eastern Europe, we didn't really have cartoons. So the best thing that we could do was uh, sort of get a satellite dish and just watch foreign channels that had cartoons. And that for me was a German channel. So I learned German by watching cartoons as a kid, which sort of messed up in the best possible way, my identity feeling. So I never felt that I belonged to any particular country or nationality, because first I grew up with German television and German cartoons, which technically weren't German cartoons, but they were translated into German. Then I got into anime. I was watching anime. Well, before that, actually, I got into video games, and then video games you play in English. So I sort of was doing this English, German stuff in my head all the time. And I never understood why the world in the West was so different from the world in the East where I was growing up. And I just never felt comfortable in the East because, like, for me, most everything that was happening was in Western television and Western media, and that's where I wanted to be. And then once I left Eastern Europe and came to the West, I was just like, okay, I feel very much at home here. So there's no really feel for homesickness. I miss my dad and I miss some friends, but not really homesick. I learned English watching Cartoon Network. Yeah, I totally get that. I have a lot of friends who learned English like that. And yeah, I learned English due to video games. All right, I like this. So I'm gonna do one more sketch, just going a little bit into this leg mechanism because I feel I neglected that a little bit. And I'm just gonna do the exhaust here as well. But yeah, also I just enjoy being relatively European in the sense that I was in love with Germany, but now I live in the Netherlands. I was born in Romania, but my mother tongue is Hungarian, so I'm just from all over the world. Well, world within Netherlands, within Europe. Sorry, I mean. I don't know if I like the stupid flower thing in the end, but now I'm just sticking with it because I started out with that. Andrew T, I love the asymmetrical design on the wings. Thanks. And yeah, in general, I love asymmetrical designs. So yeah, thanks. it's something fun about breaking, because we're so used to symmetry being pretty. At least that's what we're looking in human beings as well. So it's nice to have these asymmetrical designs that throw off our senses a little bit. All right, I'm just gonna, where's my, okay, let's make this a little bit thicker. Glad Rex, who knows where destiny takes us on a rough road and a dark night. Where's that from? That is not familiar to me, but it sounds very good. Sounds something like something that I subscribe to. Okay. So I'm oh yeah, I wanted to add this this little flip out area here. It's resting on this as well, of course. Sort of leg coming out of that thing. Okay, so if we look, let me do how would I do that? So let me do a little bit of I'm just gonna call this AA. It's not correct, but in engineering you do sort of zoom ins. I do an AA, and then I explain this one here since I have the AA there as well. Oh, Kitty Jamera. Yeah, okay, see, my brain, yeah, that's the thing. So my brain really switched to thinking in English, and I didn't translate it back into Hungarian. I would have probably gotten it then. Okay, so this comes up like this. And we have this clap here. So let's say it comes until here. Like this. And it continues there. But then this is open, of course, at this moment. And then we have sort of, you have to have some sort of hinge mechanism here. You go, and then we have sort of this area, but then with an extra flip, clap, clippity clap there. Something like that. The Marion Roberts PP. Yeah, thank you. Yes, that is, this spaceship has a big PP for sure. You need a big PP to fly this spaceship. Yeah, this will be the last edition for tonight. This little landing pad here. But this, okay. So I'm putting quite a thick mechanism here, which I'm starting to not like, because it means it has to come from quite deep inside there. I need to maybe make it just a little bit more elegant and more simple as well. So this would be it. Something like this. But I'm gonna do this here. Okay, and then we have that there. Yeah, if you do big bulky, it's two things. So it needs to be relatively bulky because it has to hold up this whole ship, but you can't do it too bulky because there's not a lot of space in there. It's also funny because I put this little swing on this side, even though technically it should be on the underside. So I'm trying to fix it there. I like your robot drawings. Thanks you. Jesus, I can't speak English anymore. It's getting late here. what's the function of this spaceship? Well, I was thinking something like if you take a rebel group, I don't want to stick with Star Wars all the time. Let's say if we're speaking OPA and Expanse series, then this is like the typical fighter spaceship that the rebels put together out of. It could be an escape capsule, because for them it's easy to transform escape capsules. So you would have the escape capsule, you put a bigger engine on top of it, you can see that this is bolted and it wasn't designed there, so they just take a big rail gun, and then these could be quick assault ships that just go in, shoot off a bunch of these, and then quickly get out of the fight. And technically, so I watched also an interesting thing on. So if you think of these as TIE fighters, they shouldn't be able to land, but this could be like sort of a hero ship, if you think of a sci-fi story. So this could land, and our hero would be sort of like a space cowboy, bounty hunter, whatever you want him to be. He could go and catch bad guys. Empress Valkyrie, are you using a 4H to sketch the design before inking? It's a HB, isn't it? Yeah, it's an HB. 4H is a bit too, I don't want to say dirty, but it smears much easier than this HB. Evgenich playing E, hello from Belarus. How often should a beginner draw? You should not ask how often. Like, if you like drawing, just keep on drawing as much as you want and as much as you can. Like, if you want to get better, I don't know, daily helps a lot, is what I would say. Um, Centurion, I think every day, lots of hours. Yes. Every day, lots of hours. That is correct. But I always say, like, don't kill yourself. The thing is, I imagine most of you guys are watching me because you enjoy drawing and you want to keep enjoy drawing, and you can also burn yourself out even from drawing, no matter how much you enjoy it. So make sure to draw healthy amounts, take breaks, go out, enjoy yourself, meet up with friends, and then come home and draw a little bit again. The thing is, many people say, I don't have time to draw, and then I'm really busy. It's not true. When you wake up in the morning, you can wake up 10 minutes earlier and you can sketch for 10 minutes. You can say, I'm gonna do a quick study. I'm gonna see how metal, if you want to learn rendering, you can take a look at how different sorts of metals react to light, and you can learn metal rendering. Or you can do anatomy sketches. You say, okay, every morning I put in 10 minutes, 5 minutes for 2 anatomy sketches. So it's possible. You just have to do it. Okay, so this is sort of our hinge mechanism. Also, I would add that in my experience, it's better to draw for an hour every day than for 7 hours once a week. Yeah, definitely. I that's top advice. Any advice on applying perspective with shapes? Well, perspective is shapes, right? Or everything is shapes. Like, I have 2 videos that, if you haven't seen those, check those out. One is obviously on perspective, but I have also how to draw anything with basic shapes, and that should be helpful. But in general, don't think of perspective as something different or something abstract. Perspective is in everything and everywhere. It's literally everywhere. It was so painful for me to draw a lot in the beginning because I was so bad, and I got frustrated. When I got a little better, it got easier and easier because I understood what and how to practice. See, I still have that. Now, it's not that I'm better, but I understand what I'm messing up, and I'm annoyed because I only notice my mistakes once I'm done drawing. And many times when I'm in the middle of drawing, I simply don't notice the mistakes that I'm doing. So that is quite annoying. Ah, I don't need to go super detailed there. What and another thing is also when you're doing studies, it's not about. I say this as well a lot. Just draw a little bit every day. It's also very important what you're drawing and how you're drawing. So if you want to sit down and study, sort of make a plan that, okay, today I want to learn this. I'm going to pay attention to this thing. And then once you did that study, try to replicate it. Try to see what you took away from that study. If you want to do mechanical stuff, then let's say, okay, this week, every day I'm going to do half an hour or an hour. I'm going to look at engines. I'm going to look at car parts. I'm going to try and see how these things work. And then in the weekend, when you're done with this, you can say, okay, let me see what I learned, and let me try to draw my own cars. Maybe not totally from your imagination, just take some more reference and try to combine them. Try to see what you can come up with as well. Because people always ask me, like, how do I draw stuff from imagination? Well, you don't. First, you draw stuff from reference. And even when you draw from imagination, technically, if you drew it for a long time, your imagination has the reference in it. So you never really draw from imagination. You always have that reference somewhere in your head. And then you just combine it all together. Okay, this had something like this here. Have you ever dealt with problems focusing? The thing that I struggle with the most is to keep focused on what I'm working on. I have a very short attention span. Uh, Sometimes, and sometimes I don't. So it switches up. I would say try to. If you know that you have a short attention span, just play into it. Just do stuff that you know that is not going to take you too long, and then just add it up. Like let's take this as an example. If you know that you need to deliver a page with I don't know 3-4 spaceships, say okay, I'm gonna spend only 10 minutes on the front part of the spaceship, or I'm gonna spend first 10 minutes on just doing little thumbnails, and then you go do some other things and come back 10 minutes taking one thumbnail and working it out a little bit, and then doing your own thing again and taking another 10 minutes to just working out just the cockpit, and then working out just the landing pads, and so on and so forth. So try, you can work around and work into your deficiencies. But also, so just I know about myself. I have that sometimes, but then when I'm gaming, I notice myself like, oh, I sat down to game, and then all of a sudden it's 4 hours later. So where is my attention span deficiency when I'm gaming? Because apparently it's not there, because I can be very, I can pay attention very much to that. Or also when I'm watching a movie, like, or a series, because yeah, movies less. But if you sit down and binge 3-4 episodes of Game of Thrones or whatever you're watching, you don't really have that attention span problem. You get demotivated that way, don't you? That's why you should be fast. Well, I guess everybody gets demotivated from different things. It's the thing is always listen to as many, or listen to a lot of people who give you advice, or who you ask for advice, and apply the thing that works best for you. because everybody is different and everybody is going to react differently to advice and to things that work for them. So for just while you're young, there's plenty of time for you to also, not just while you're young, throughout your whole life. There is time for you to try out many things and see what works best for you. So just do that. And there's plenty of people doing a lot of things, so you can just see what people are doing and what works for whom, and just try applying that for you. But okay, I think with this I will call it a night. I sort of like it. Like I think this is something that if I would need to, I could give to somebody if they want to model a silly looking spaceship that makes no sense. But yeah, thank you guys for joining, and yeah, have a great week, have a great weekend, and yeah, just keep on drawing, have fun, don't overdo it, and see you in the next video. Thanks again for joining, guys. Bye bye.